Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, according to the news, at least reports is that the ground invasion into Gaza has begun. Although certain people within the Israeli military has said that this isn't the full-scale invasion yet, but there are most definitely IDF tanks that have broken through into Gaza. And the reports for the last couple of hours are that the shelling and bombing has been the most intense ever. There's a lot of reporting going on right now, and it's when things like this are going on, it's always hard to keep up. But it does appear that things have certainly escalated in then just the last few hours, 2 to 3 hours, over in Israel with Gaza. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I could talk about with that. I'll try to cover at least a few things. This morning at the United Nations, the Iranian Prime Minister said that Lebanese, Syrian, and Iranian fighters have their finger on the trigger of ready to go against Israel if Israel does a full-scale invasion. And then moments after it became announced, or at least aware, that Israel had started the ground invasion, the same Prime Minister of Iran fired back saying that the button has been pushed. There's already protests. The Turkish government has called for pro-Palestinian protests in the Middle East this weekend. There's a large protest, at least, or riots, or I don't know what you want to call them, that are being called for this weekend in Bronx, New York, around Jewish communities. People are calling to go and disrupt their Shabbat, things like that. Egypt has ships, planes in the air, patrolling the area. The word is that and I guess I didn't mention this in a previous video, but last night a town in Egypt was struck by some type of missile, and this was about 100 miles away from the Gaza border, so it seemed unlikely that it was one that strayed off course. And today Israel says that it was Yemen that had fired upon Egypt. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's moving pretty fast, it seems. And even if this isn't the full-on scale invasion, what it looks like, at least from some of the initial reports, which again are hard to keep up with when it's this early in the game, that it appears that Israel has moved in the middle part of Gaza, or the northern third part of Gaza, that they're trying to cut that part off from southern Gaza. It's very possible that that is enough to get for the rest of the Middle Eastern world, or at least the pro-Palestinian part of it, to feel justified in carrying out whatever they might have planned. The Iranian Prime Minister also said today that the United States would feel the repercussions of this also, that they would not be excluded. So is that a threat to possible sleeper cells here in the United States? I don't know. The point is that it does seem like what we've all been wondering when it would happen over the last 2 or 3 weeks has finally actually started. And it could certainly escalate in the coming days, but it does appear that it's started. And I think that there should be a warning for all of us that things could start happening. Already today, the stock market took a nosedive. Gold and silver has gone up, and also oil. It went up like $2 a barrel. Gold is now above $2,000 an ounce for the first time in months. So it's probably going to affect the economy in some way. On the economic side, there's been talk in the last couple of days of possible certain banks, their stock prices are plummeting on certain banks, and so it's possible that there could be some kind of banking scare. If it all happens this weekend, there could be a lot of potential disruption. Now, the reality is it's probably not going to be any disruption. I get that. The odds are in that favor. But we as prepared-minded people, we don't live inside the odds that everything's going to be fine, we see that there's also a probability or a possibility that bad things could happen. And so that's why we prepare. So could things start erupting this weekend? Even here in the United States, it's possible. There was after this all started with Israel and Gaza, there was another attack at an American-controlled base in Syria. It was an oil depot. It's possible. The reports are still kind of sketchy. Unsure if it actually struck part of the oil depot, but there was reported of loud explosions. We did some retaliatory strikes in Syria for the bombings and attacks that they and Iraqi fighters have been doing against our bases over the last week or so. Today, there's just been a lot of back and forth. Things are certainly heating up. Today, was it the Moldovan or Belarusian? That's right, the Belarusian prime minister or president or whatever his title is, stated that if Israel invaded Gaza, that it could definitely start World War III. And so now it appears, it's definitely happened. I mean, there's pretty much confirmed Israeli boots and tanks and everything on the ground in Gaza. So are we going to see World War III happen over the coming days and weeks because of this? I don't know. But I think that we should be much more heightened aware because this is, if nothing else, it's a bigger show. I mean, certainly there are casualties that's going to be on both sides. But it could also be used by the globalists to push their agenda even further. And usually when that happens, that means that you and I are in the crosshairs of their agenda. And so we have to be aware of that. There's also the possibility of just general panic from people. If you live, or maybe you're part of Jewish communities. Maybe you are a Jewish person or a Messianic person or a Torah observant person. You have to understand that even if you're not specifically Jewish, if you're Torah observant or Messianic, a lot of these terrorists, they don't see the difference. So you could be in the crosshairs also, but everyone could be in the crosshairs because they want to do to America what they've done to Israel. And so we have to see that as a possible danger for all of us, but especially if you live in and around Jewish communities or part of Jewish communities. I would certainly be on very high alert over the next several days, especially tomorrow. Shabbat starts here in just a couple of hours, at least here. It's already getting ready to start on the East Coast. So it's more likely, I think, that they would do something on their Sabbath. So be aware of that. Keep your head on a swivel. This is the stuff I've been telling you for weeks. Things are certainly heating up. And there's the stuff that's really going on, and there's the stuff that they want you to believe that's going on. There's psyops mixed into the reality of war. And all of it is moving us further down the path, further down the field to the goal of this global reset and domination. They want it to be chaotic. They want the United States to fail. They want the world to be against the U.S. and to be against Israel. And it's quite possible that many actors, including potential ones in control of the U.S. and Israel, are also wanting that. Who knows? Especially in the United States. A lot of things are happening. Russia and China have already made comments. Everyone is. And so we may be closer to a World War III scenario than we've ever been right now. And we have to be aware of that. If you can, over the weekend, stock up on things, if you're able to, certainly do that. Probably the first thing you should do is stock up on fuel, water, just basic supplies to get you through in case there was some kind of mad rush, panic to purchase things. Make sure if you have plans for if the grid fails and goes down or is attacked, that your plan is good. If you have gas for generators, things like that, make sure it's solid, because the increased probability of attacks to infrastructure, I think, is going to start going up much more from here. Just basically be on guard, because whether or not this is that moment or not that things drastically change, I think we're certainly getting closer to it, and I believe that this very much could be that moment that things drastically change. So time will tell. It's still very, very new, and the reporting coming out about what's really going on is still very sketchy. So, we'll probably know a lot more by tomorrow. But until then and throughout the weekend, I would strongly suggest that you be on alert. Make sure things are ready to move in case you have to, or lock down, or defend yourself. Whatever the scenario may be, you probably should be ready for that. Especially those that live in bigger cities, and those that, maybe live near areas that are known for, having high immigrant or Islamic activity. It doesn't mean that they're all bad. I don't want to get into this Islamic phobia thing. They're not all bad. Just like not all black people are bad, and not all Jews are bad, and not all Catholics are bad, and on and on. They're not. I refuse to lump a bunch of people into one pile. It's not going to happen here. But certainly in areas that have a higher population, it's going to increase the likelihood that things could happen there, and then also in areas that have Jewish populations. So again, be ready, be on guard, and don't panic. Don't be afraid, because no matter what happens, we know who holds the future, and we fear the most powerful of all, the Almighty, the Most High. That's who we fear, because He's in control. And everything that's happening is happening because it's what He is controlling, because it's getting us to a certain place. And so because of that, we cannot live in fear and panic. We can be alert, and we can be worried at times, but we cannot really allow ourselves to fall into this state of fear, because that's what the enemy wants. So be getting yourself ready, starting now. And if that readiness is simply just a mental readiness, that's good enough, but move forward with preparations and readiness, and then just stay alert, because who knows what will happen. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.